Hi there, and welcome to the second official installment of the Vo2max Productions Training Talk. I'm Sage Canaday, here to answer your questions. So first of all, I want to thank everyone that provided me with some feedback. Looking at all the comments, we had a pretty wide variety of requests, so I'm going to try to, answer maybe a couple questions vaguely, well, hopefully not too vaguely, but I'll try to get to the point on these, and I'll kind of take it out of the vein of what Negative Split 06 asked, and I know he already knows quite a bit about exercise science when it comes to distance running, but basically the question kind of outlined, what different types of training should you do for popular events, whether you're training for a 5K or a half marathon or maybe even an ultra marathon up to 100K. I'm not going to say 100 miles because I don't have experience in that yet. But, what differences, what unique demands should you train for, and how should those training programs be different? And obviously there's going to be a lot of variation in there. You could be training for an ultra on the trails, an uphill race, or you could be training for a cross-country 5K or a track 5K. And there's going to be little differences in there, but also differences with individuals. Some people thrive better with certain training depending on their strengths and weaknesses. So with the people I coach, I kind of look at all that, also injury susceptibility and things like that. But generally I'm going to try to combine all these events together, and I'm going to hammer home two key points which I think you could apply to your distance running training, whether you're training for a 5K as your main focus event, or you're doing a 50-mile or 100-mile trail ultra. So obviously with the shorter events, 5K, 10K, half marathon, these events are limited by your lactate threshold, and I have a whole video on that. You could watch that here. And also doing Vo2max training is very important for those events. That's a distinguishing characteristics for those shorter events. If you're an ultra runner or a marathon runner, limiting factor is going to be your glycogen stores and utilizing fat as a fuel. So basically how efficient you could go through your glycogen stores, your sugars, and how well you can take in sugars on the run, because you're also taking in calories, usually in a race longer than 20 miles. Even, and that's the limiting factor in those. So obviously you're doing more long runs, but to really address the question, should you be doing higher mileage training for a marathon versus a 5K? Well, I mean, generally you're going to need to train higher mileage for the longer race, but, and this is the point I really want to hammer home, the high mileage training is going to help your 5K too. So basically, you want to get up to the point where you could run as high weekly mileage as possible. And for most people, they're too limited by time or the risk of injury to really get up to reach their potential. But if you're running 30 miles a week and you're racing a 5K, if you were able to bump that up to 50 miles a week, all other workouts being constant, you're going to see a lot of improvement just from those, and they could be easy miles too. That's the other point I want to hammer home is, people increase their mileage, but they're doing the miles too intensely. You have to take your easy days really easy, and I'll even run 2 minutes a mile slower than my marathon race pace on my easy days, because I just don't care. It's just a matter of getting in the miles. I don't believe in junk miles. I believe you should enjoy the run and be able to hold a conversation on those relaxing days, but between harder workouts and after long runs. So, that's a key to building your mileage up as well. And so, just some examples. You could look back to the 1960s. We had Arthur Lynyard coaching 800-meter runner, Peter Snell, and he's mainly training for the half mile in the Olympic Games. And Arthur Lynyard, the legendary coach, had Peter Snell running 100 miles a week and doing 22 to 23 mile long runs, fairly hilly long runs too. He even had him race a marathon before he raced the 800 meters competitively. And I mean, this guy was running 144, 143 back in 1960. And it basically illustrated the point that, strength conquers all. Endurance conquers all, to quote the Arctic explorer Shackleton. And I, really believe that, whether you're training, for even the mile. We had guys in college running 100 miles a week. That extra strength just makes you that more efficient. It's just even raising your mileage up 20%, your weekly mileage, running at a fairly comfortable pace has been shown to boost your Vo2max. And we could talk about high intensity Vo2max training. I got a video on that here, but my main point is just getting your easy mileage, your weekly mileage up. That applies to all these events: 5K on the track, 5K cross country, half marathon on the road, ultra, mountain race over 100 kilometers. Strength rules, and strength in terms of not only developing your muscles, but developing your efficiency, your aerobic efficiency. And you actually get developments that are going to help your running form, your running economy, just improving that movement, but also developing the ability to transport oxygen to your muscles more efficiently, which comes down at the cellular level, even building capillary beds to improve blood flow to your muscles, increasing the size of mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, scientific, things like that. So really, you're looking at the shorter races, the lactate threshold is limiting factor. Longer races, it's glycogen and fat utilization. You're also maybe getting dehydrated. You can get a sodium imbalance, muscle cramps, things like that. But, doing the long runs, doing long tempo runs and lactate threshold training is going to give you the edge. And that's really the key to long-term success, to long-term development in the sport. And I know a lot of people that started running later in life. Maybe you were in your late 20s or early 30s even, and you've only been running for a couple of years. Well, you have a lot of improvement ahead of you if you could just stay healthy, train consistently, and get in those workouts. And they don't always have to be hard. As long as you stay injury-free, you don't push your easy days as much, you're gonna eventually improve. And if you're a younger runner, you're building that aerobic base slowly but surely, and you just got to be patient about it. And I think that's real key. Another example, I guess, is when I was in college, I ran a couple marathons my junior year, and I had some success doing that. And I basically, right after running those marathons, I had a cross-country season racing 8K, about 5 miles, and I had the best cross-country season I've ever had. And I attribute a lot of that success to all the marathon training I did, to all the 22-mile long runs, 120 miles a week. That really translated over to my speed. Even cross-country and through track, I was PRing in the 5K and 10K. And it wasn't because I had this newfound speed. It wasn't because I got these fast twitch muscle fibers, or I was really that much, my Vo2max probably wasn't really that much better. It was just that I was just more efficient at processing lactate, at moving. My running economy improved over time. And the ability to recover from harder workouts gets better too, with that strength, with that added mileage. And you could fast forward to that even when I was running for the Hanson's Brooks Distance Project in 2010. I'd basically gone 3 years without running a marathon, and we were training for the Boston Marathon in 2010, and I was really excited because I thought I was in killer shape. I had 7 weeks in a row at 130 miles a week average. We were crushing 20-mile long runs significantly under 2 hours, and I was just like, man, I'm gonna really improve. It was perfect weather on race day at Boston, and my PR was 2:21 from 2007. I hadn't run a marathon since then. I just thought I was gonna significantly cracked 220. And what happened is I went out and by 16 miles I was totally fried. I was in a world of hurt, and you really don't want to be in a world of hurt at 16 miles in a marathon. And there I was, just struggling to finish, and I totally positive split it and ran 3 minutes slower than my PR at the time, and it was just devastating. But I look back on that and I was totally overtrained. We were pushing our easy days at Hanson's. We were running 6:20 pace, 6-minute mile pace all the time, and for some people it works, but for me at the time I just could not handle it, and it totally exhausted my muscle fibers. And really looking back on that, I was lucky I didn't get hurt. I could easily have gotten an overuse injury or a stress fracture. So I know people are always worried about that when it comes to pushing their mileage. And so the key, again, I'll stress, is to run your easy days easy. Do them nice and slow and just get the miles in. Better to do it on a soft surface as well. And if you do it correctly, if you do it with right form, you take care of yourself in terms of nutrition, trying to get as much sleep as possible. It's probably easier said than done, but those little things really add up. And just consistency month after month, year after year, even decade after decade. So hopefully I clarified some things and gave you some useful advice through this training talk. Again, I really appreciate all the support and feedback. I'll try to get back to as many comments as I can, but there's just too many now, so I can't get back to them all. So sorry if I ignore you, but thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Vo2max Productions.